Welcome back once again. It's time for the Golden Age of DC Comics, 365 days, where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. It's been surfing my coffee table ever since, and it is a great excuse to talk about comic books for a few minutes. And we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. This is an Abrhams 2004 publication by Chip Kidd, Geoff Spear, and Les Daniels. You can find the link to Amazon in the description and get your own copy, and you can play along at home. I like to use this book for its intended purpose. It's a 365 book. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up this book to today's date. We're going to look at some comic book art from an antediluvian age. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. And I'm so glad that you're here, tuned in to us today. Thank you so much. If you love comic books as much as I do, then you're come to the right channel at the right time. I like to take this moment at the beginning of every show. I call this the escapism caveat. You know, activism is very important. It's needed in this world. The world has its many, many problems. There is no doubt about that. Yet, for the past few years, there seems to be a quote-unquote agenda in fictions, especially in comic books. That activism is everywhere in fiction, and in movies, and in sports, and we need escapism. Escapism is so needed to forget this world's problems just for a few moments in a day. And you can go to a different world, be a different person, fight space aliens, sea pirates, a motorcycle gang, gangsters. You can be in anywhere, anyone, anytime. And activism just seeks to, it's well intended, but it's, who the hell wants to be lectured all the time? Seriously, activism, you have your space, you have your place. Stay out of ours. And that's why I embrace something such as the past, like the golden age of DC Comics. What goes better with a coffee table book and coffee table conversation? A good cup of coffee. Grab a cuppa, pull up a chair. Let's talk comics. The golden age of DC Comics runs between 1938 and 1955. The Silver Age starts in 1956 until 1970. The Bronze Age, I'm a Bronze Age baby, from 1970 until 1985, and the Copper Age starts in 1985. And then we can start talking about the modern ages after that. That's a conversation I'm willing to have, so drop on by, leave a comment. Let's talk comics. So let's get to it. We're going to open up the book. We are going to see who we're talking about today. It is June the 30th. It is. And we are talking about Mr. Mind. This is one of the nemeses of Captain Marvel. Yes. A worm. A genius worm. And I love the balance. You have this huge, muscular superhero, and who's one of his greatest adversaries? A worm. Let's get to it. Let's talk about it. We'll find more about Mr. Mind. This is story by Otto Binder, art by C.C. Beck, from Captain Marvel Adventures number 46, May of 1945. One of the most memorable bad guys from the golden age of comic books was Mr. Mind, quote, evil worm mastermind, who for 2 years has attempted to crush civilization, unquote. Created by Otto Binder, the little guy baffled Captain Marvel in a serial that lasted for 25 issues, using other villains as his stooges until he was eventually revealed as the force behind the Monster Society of Evil. Strangely lovable in spite of his numerous crimes, the Worm is shown here in extremis, broadcasting through his miniature radio set to a gang that no longer listens. Mr. Mind stood trial for his atrocities in this, his last appearance, and was ultimately executed in his own custom-made teeny-weeny electric chair.
Oh, the irony of it! Here I have Billy Batson helpless and in my power, and I can do nothing about it.
He had this radio around his neck to amplify his voice, I believe. And, let's talk a bit more about Mr. Mind. Yeah, let's go to the wiki. I love the wiki. I don't know why. Wikipedia is such a wonderful kind of thing. It's quite literally like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, if you follow the Douglas Adams reference here. This is a great cup of coffee. Tanzanian peaberry, one of my favorite beans. Mr. Mind is a fictional supervillain appearing in American comic books, published by DC Comics, created by Otto Binder and C.C. Beck for Fawcett Comics. Mr. Mind the character made a cameo appearance in Captain Marvel Adventures number 22 in March of 1943, before making his first full appearance in Captain Marvel Adventures number 26, August of 1943. He is considered one of Captain Marvel's greatest enemies. One of Captain Marvel Shazam's primary villains and arch-nemeses, Mr. Mind is a 2-inch alien worm of high intelligence and telepathic powers. Mind usually carries out his villainous plans through an organization called the Monster Society of Evil. The Monster Society made its debut in Captain Marvel Adventures number 22, and the resulting Monster Society of Evil story arc continued for 2 years in Captain Marvel Adventures, ending in issue 46. So that was pretty novel for the day, having a serialized story. Most of the comic books were one and dones, and they didn't have a sense, of a building adventure. Mr. Mind appeared as a cameo in the DCU, the DC Extended Universe films, Shazam, portrayed in CGI voice by the movie's director. That's nice. And after a brief appearance, Mr. Mind is revealed and to be a cartoonish alien worm with spectacles and a talk box around his neck to amplify his voice. And he was also, he was executed for his crimes. Yeah, remember, this was a kid's book back in the day, but the electric chair was a big staple in American justice and also in American fiction, crime fiction. That's where you sent gangsters when they went to the big house. You sent them to the electric chair. Yeah, and he came back from the dead, as comic book characters often do. And most recently, there was something called the New 52, and this was about 2011. But shortly before that, it was Mr. Mind who was literally eating different universes. He's a worm. He created a cocoon. He burst out of that cocoon as a gigantic hyperfly, and he was able to eat space and time. And when he did this, he inadvertently created the new DC multiverse and creating the New 52. And but I think it's just a wonderful juxtaposition, comparing the huge muscular hero and having him be put to his put through the rings, or put to the test by a 2-inch worm. Yeah, I mean, just it's absurd, and it's funny, and it's quite comical. And you know what? That's our DC Comics for today. We're going to be talking about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. Turn on those notifications. I would love to earn your subscription. We also talk about spirituality, gratitude, cooking, and I take videos of bunnies first thing in the morning eating their breakfast. It's the cutest thing. I love these little nature moments. And if the sky is clear and there are planets out in the sky, I do something called Naked Eye Sky, where I take videos of the planets that are visible with our naked eye in the sky. There are 5 of them: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, that we can see with our very own eyes on a clear morning or clear sunset. And they're out there and just waiting for us to point our finger in awe and go, look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Well, thank you so much for tuning in. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much. Cheers. And see you in the funny pages. Bye.